Welcome to Life Stories, where every journey brings powerful lessons about love, betrayal, resilience, and hope. Today's story explores the heart of Olivia Carter, a woman whose seemingly perfect life shatters on her wedding anniversary, revealing secrets that force her to face painful truths. Can love survive when trust is broken? Join us as we unravel Olivia's emotional journey from heartbreak to healing, teaching us all that strength often blooms from life's hardest moments. If you find inspiration here, please subscribe to our channel to discover more powerful stories. Subscribe now, and let's begin today's unforgettable life story. The embossed golden letters on the anniversary dinner invitation gleamed softly under the kitchen lights. 12 years, it read. I gently ran my fingertips across Daniel's familiar handwriting at the bottom. Forever yours. The phrase made my heart flutter painfully, an ironic twist that left a bitter taste in my mouth. We'd once believed those words wholeheartedly. I sighed deeply and reached for my phone as it vibrated, alerting me to an incoming message. A photo had been anonymously sent, grainy yet unmistakable. It depicted my husband kissing a woman whose face I recognized immediately. Emily, his executive assistant, stood pressed intimately against him, her hand resting protectively over her visibly pregnant belly. A dull ache spread through my chest, sharp and cold. The room, usually warm and inviting, now felt hollow and vast, as if all comfort had been drained from it in that single instant. Strangely enough, I didn't scream or collapse into tears. There was no shattering of dishes against the marble countertop, no dramatic scene unfolding like one might expect. Instead, a deep, unsettling calm settled over me. With deliberate care, I placed my phone on the kitchen counter, my movements measured and precise, and resumed arranging the bouquet of lilies I had bought earlier that day. Each snip of the scissors felt oddly therapeutic, as if trimming away pieces of my crumbling marriage. Mom, can I have a snack before dinner? Ethan appeared in the doorway, headphones dangling around his neck, eyes bright and innocent. He had no clue his world was about to shift beneath his feet. I looked at him, my beautiful boy, the child Daniel and I had longed for through two heartbreaking miscarriages. The miracle we had waited years to welcome into our waterfront home overlooking the sparkling lights of San Francisco Bay. A home we had built together in the prestigious neighborhood of Pacific Heights, with Mount Tamalpais visible in the distance on clear evenings. All these symbols of stability and happiness suddenly seemed fragile, fleeting. Of course, sweetheart, I replied softly, my voice steady and reassuring. I reached for an apple and began slicing it, noticing how heavy the knife felt in my hand. I realized at that moment just how skilled I'd become at concealing my pain, protecting my son from wounds he was too young to understand. Ethan grabbed his snack and bounded upstairs, the sound of his footsteps echoing in my ears. 12 years had vanished into thin air. Daniel's sudden absences, late-night meetings, guarded phone calls, all those signs I'd chosen to ignore were now painfully clear. Yet even with the betrayal glaring back at me from my phone screen, something deeper prevented me from shattering. It was more than pride or dignity. It was love. Not the naive, hopeful love of my younger self, but a stronger, wiser love tempered by experience. I had spent years building our life, a successful art gallery in San Francisco's vibrant downtown, a cherished family, believing Daniel's promises. But love, I now understood, was not simply about believing. It was also about confronting truth, no matter how painful. Taking one final deep breath, I opened my messaging app and typed one simple loaded word to Daniel. Congratulations. I knew it would rattle him, that he would immediately understand the message behind the facade. Then, slipping the phone into my pocket, I stood perfectly still for a moment, gathering my strength. Tonight's anniversary dinner at Harborview, the elegant restaurant where Daniel had once asked me to marry him, would go precisely according to his romantic, carefully planned script, surrounded by our closest friends. But afterward, I would take control of my own story, gently yet decisively closing this chapter, ready to face whatever came next. I stood before the bedroom mirror, smoothing the emerald silk dress I had chosen weeks ago, not knowing it would be armor instead of elegance. Diamonds dangled gently from my ears, gifts Daniel had proudly presented on our 10th anniversary, symbols of what we both believed would be eternal. My reflection was poised, composed, even serene. Yet beneath the facade, my heart felt like glass, transparent, brittle, and on the verge of shattering. A gentle knock broke my contemplation. "Mom," Ethan called softly, peering through the slightly open door. "Dad says we'll be late." I turned and smiled, the warmth genuine for my son's sake, as he fiddled anxiously with his tie. "I'll be right there," I reassured him. His innocent expression made my heart ache. Tonight would inevitably wound him in ways I wished desperately to prevent. In the car, Daniel reached over, his hand softly covering mine. "You look beautiful," he murmured, eyes searching mine cautiously, probing for clues about my earlier cryptic message. "Thank you," I replied warmly, withholding nothing and giving nothing away. Ethan chatted brightly from the back seat about his latest science project, oblivious to the storm gathering just beyond his awareness. My heart tightened, knowing how his childhood illusions would soon collide with harsh adult realities. Harborview Restaurant glittered elegantly against the San Francisco skyline, a dazzling reminder of our romantic beginnings. Friends greeted us warmly with champagne and congratulations, unaware that beneath this polished veneer lay the raw, tender wounds of betrayal. Michelle, my closest friend and trusted attorney, gave me a questioning glance as we embraced. She knew me well enough to sense something was off. I met her gaze steadily, silently reassuring her. She squeezed my hand discreetly, letting me know she was ready to stand by my side. The evening unfolded exactly as Daniel had orchestrated. Friends laughed and toasted us, oblivious to the subtle tension in Daniel's careful smiles. Finally, he stood to give his prepared speech, speaking eloquently of our first meeting at a charity auction, playfully lamenting how I'd outbid him for a painting he adored. "I lost the art, but found the love of my life," he concluded warmly, raising his glass. A gentle applause filled the room, yet I felt strangely detached, watching the scene unfold like a spectator. Just as dessert was served, an abrupt silence fell over the gathering. Every head turned towards the glass door, where Emily stood trembling, eyes rimmed with tears, her belly noticeably pregnant. She locked eyes with Daniel, voice breaking painfully. "I couldn't do this anymore." Daniel froze, his carefully controlled facade crumbling visibly. The room seemed suspended in disbelief, tension crackling through the air. I stood slowly, smoothing the napkin in my lap with deliberate calm. All eyes shifted to me, as if expecting tears, anger, or devastation. Instead, they encountered my unwavering composure. "Emily," I said softly, my voice clear and steady, "what an unexpected surprise." She stared, speechless, her shock mirroring Daniel's confusion. They had anticipated chaos. Instead, they found a woman calmly poised at the center of her own heartbreak. I had known what was coming and had prepared for it. Now, as painful as this moment was, I felt in control, ready to gently but firmly reclaim my future. The silence hung thickly, broken only by the soft instrumental music drifting from hidden speakers, a jarring reminder of the sophisticated evening Daniel had planned. His champagne glass hovered halfway to his lips, fingers trembling subtly. For the first time, he appeared lost, vulnerable, exposed. Yet strangely, despite his betrayal, my heart stirred briefly with compassion. Here was a man I had genuinely loved, a man whose weaknesses I had tried to overlook, whose wounds I once promised to help heal. Now those wounds lay bare, publicly exposed by his own reckless choices. "Emily, this isn't appropriate," Daniel began shakily, desperately attempting to regain control. "Inappropriate?" I interrupted gently, addressing him with calm precision. "What's inappropriate, Daniel, is planning an anniversary celebration while secretly fathering a child with your assistant." My voice was steady, but carried a quiet authority, silencing the room instantly. Gasps rippled through our friends, who sat frozen, unable to look away from the unfolding drama. Daniel opened his mouth as if to respond, but words failed him, his confidence collapsing beneath the weight of undeniable truth. Emily shifted uncomfortably, the glow of her youthful ambition dimmed by shame. I felt no joy in their discomfort, only profound sadness that our lives had become tangled in this painful web. I turned slowly toward her, seeing not the rival, but a frightened young woman driven by misguided emotions. "How long?" I asked her softly, allowing empathy rather than anger to fill my voice. "8 months," she whispered, barely audible, her eyes brimming with regret. "But I didn't realize how serious you were. He said your marriage was over." Her words pierced deeply, yet I resisted bitterness. The truth was complex, layered with pain, lies, and lost opportunities. Our marriage had been slowly eroding, though I had stubbornly chosen not to see it clearly. Daniel's deception hurt, but my own willful blindness stung more deeply. The bitter lesson was one of accountability, not just his, but mine as well. Daniel reached toward me desperately, his hand trembling slightly. "Olivia, please, let's discuss this privately." "Why privately?" I asked gently, meeting his gaze steadily. "You invited these friends to witness our love. It seems fair that they witness this truth too." Michelle stood silently beside me, offering wordless support. Her quiet strength bolstered my resolve. Daniel glanced around helplessly, his world visibly fracturing before everyone who once admired him. He had carefully curated his image as a successful tech entrepreneur, respected husband, and loving father. Yet tonight, the fragile mask had shattered irreparably. Slowly, I reached into my purse, pulling out a carefully folded document. Daniel stared, confusion shifting to dawning horror as realization set in. "Our prenuptial agreement," I explained softly, placing it deliberately on the table. "Page 4, Section 12, the fidelity clause your father insisted upon." Daniel paled visibly, his composure dissolving entirely. Emily's eyes widened, suddenly grasping the devastating consequences. This document protected everything we'd built, ensuring betrayal wouldn't go unchecked. Watching Daniel's shock, I felt no triumph, only quiet sorrow. Tonight was not merely about reclaiming my dignity. It was about learning the profound cost of denial and the fragile, precious nature of trust. As months passed, our lives slowly settled into a new rhythm. The gallery flourished, becoming a sanctuary where I transformed my pain into purpose. Ethan adjusted too, resiliently embracing a world that now included his new sibling, gently guided by my assurance that love has room enough for everyone. Daniel gradually rebuilt trust with his son, embracing the humility and sincerity required to mend the pieces of a fractured bond. Time softened the raw edges of betrayal, leaving behind scars that no longer defined us, but instead reminded us of how far we journeyed toward forgiveness. The profound lesson, etched deeply into my heart, was that true strength emerges not from how we endure heartbreak, but from how compassionately we rebuild afterward. I discovered within myself an unexpected reservoir of grace and courage, learning to value vulnerability as a pathway to genuine healing. Today, standing in my sunlit gallery, surrounded by paintings capturing life's fragile yet beautiful nature, I no longer feared uncertainty. Instead, I embraced it, understanding that the greatest growth often comes from the deepest pain. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. If my story touched your heart or brought you comfort, please take a moment to subscribe to the Life Stories channel. Here, we believe that every experience, painful or joyful, brings with it valuable wisdom and the chance for a new beginning. Subscribe today, and let us continue discovering the incredible stories life has in store. Until next time, take care, and remember, your story matters.